All right. Technical issues of forgetting to put my microphone on. There's always something. There's always something standing in the way. But I found it funny. Every day so far, I've been trying to do this. Something has gotten in my way, but I keep going, and I'm gonna keep going. Man, I gotta do this all over again. I just finished recording like this whole thing, and now I gotta go through the whole. Okay. Morning, good afternoon, and good evening again, because I already did all this. Oh, great. Anyway, welcome. Starting off in Proverbs 6. The beginning of it starts out a bit complicated in the King James Version, which is what I'm reading out of. It's just the one I've grown up with and being a bit more comfortable reading. But I think it actually, I'll read through it here first in King James, and then I'll go to another translation to try to explain it. It says, "My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou have stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go humble thyself, and make sure thy friend." All right, it's a bit complicated, but if I get another translation here, in the Amplified version, which it expands on, it's, as the name says, amplified of the original Hebrew or Greek, depending if you're in the New or the Old Testament. It says, "My son, if you have become security for your neighbor, if you have given your pledge for a stranger or another, you are snared with the words of your lips, and you are caught by the speech of your mouth. Do this now, at once and earnestly, my son, and deliver yourself, when you have put yourself into the power of your neighbor. Go and humble yourself, and beg your neighbor to pay his debt and thereby release you." What I believe it's trying to say here, and my interpretation may be wrong, so don't listen to me. I don't know the exact terminology, but I think it would be like if you co-sign for like a loan of somebody, if you pledge, if you promise for somebody else that, yeah, I'll put my reputation on the line, I'll put my, my house, my goods on the line for someone else. It's saying if you've done that, you've put yourself into a trap. Like it's not good to bet any of your life or your reputation on on somebody else. And saying if you've done that, go to that person that you've pledged for and beg them to pay it off so that you'll be released from it. Because oftentimes in the Bible it says how important your words are. So again, my interpretation of it may not be right. If you think it's actually trying to say something different, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. Then it goes on to say, "Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler." But then it goes to say the best verse of the entire Bible. "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways, and be wise." Yeah, we got to bring back the word sluggard in the English language. It's too good of a word to not use. When someone's lazy, calling them a sluggard. Then it says, "Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat in the summer, and gathers her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travelleth, and thy want as an armed man." Pretty much saying that even the tiny little ant knows to provide for its family, you say. It knows to gather food when you can gather food. It knows when to, build its house up. And it's saying, don't, how long are you going to sleep, you sluggard? How long are you just going to be lazy? And if you're lazy and if you don't prepare for the day of adversity, your poverty is going to come as an armed man, and you won't be able to stop them. It's going to come and take everything you have if you haven't prepared beforehand. It says, "A naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a forward mouth. He wrinkleth with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, and he teacheth with his fingers. Forwardness is in his heart. He devises mischief continually, and he soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy." Saying, someone who is very apt to mischief and apt to cause trouble, their destruction is going to come when they don't even know it. It's going to come all of a sudden and very swiftly. Stay away from those type of people. Stay away from that type of company, and don't become like them. "These 6 things does the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift to running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren." All those things are what he's saying to stay away from, because that's saying the Lord hates those things. He hates someone who has a very proud look, who's very proud and very prideful of what they've done. Someone who's a lying tongue and just trying to, manipulate people constantly. Hands that shed innocent blood. those who, will be willing to trample on others for their personal gain, whether that be, in a corporate sense in a job, or, in more of a personal thing, or a literal shedding of blood. A heart that devises wicked imaginations. It's like the one we were on yesterday with adultery. Lust in your imagination, in your heart, if you entertain evil thoughts in your mind, God views that the exact same as actually carrying out those actions. Don't let your imagination run wild. Like, you'll have evil thoughts, and that's part of being human, but don't entertain those thoughts. Don't fantasize over them, because that's wicked in the sight of the Lord. And it says, feet that be swift to running to mischief. Someone who's willing to, run around and cause trouble all the time, and is willing to get into trouble very quickly. And a false witness that speaks lies, again, someone who's willing to sow discord among people. Which, I just said it, the next one, and him that sows discord among brethren. Someone who'll set others at odds against each other. It's saying the Lord, he hates that. And it's not something he's going to bless in your life if that's something that you do, or you participate in. It says, my son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thine heart, and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleep, it shall keep thee. And when thou awake, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. It's saying, keep your father's commandment and the law of your mother bound around your neck. I heard, I don't know how true it was, but they said people back then if they'd wear head wraps, they would actually keep scriptures and keep little parchment papers that had different verses, different scriptures on them, hidden in their hats, or they put them around their neck on a necklace to keep them on them at all times. Before we actually had the Bible in a full book form, people would have little things either written down, or little, I guess you say, ways, when you'd heard someone preaching on it before, you'd write the stuff down and you'd keep it on you to again, just so you wouldn't forget about it. So wherever you go, it'll be a light to you. And I like the analogy of, the commandment's a lamp and the law is a light. It'll guide you where you need to go. And then it goes back to the proverb from yesterday, actually. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart. Neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Saying, again, don't entertain your imagination with somebody, no matter how beautiful somebody might be. If they're evil, don't entertain that in your mind at all. It will lead to death. As it goes on to say, and this is a great analogy here, it says, can a man take fire into his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So he that goes into his neighbor's wife, whosoever touches her shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief, if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he is found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He that does it destroys his own soul. He's saying, if someone steals to survive, if someone steals food because they're hungry, men don't despise that person. It's like, sure, they broke the law, but you can forgive that person a bit. But it's saying, committing adultery with your neighbor's wife or whoever, it's saying, they lack understanding. That's complete lust. It's not about survival at all at that point. It's just about following your wicked heart. And it's saying, you'll destroy your own soul by doing so. But that first analogy of taking fire, into your, taking fire on your clothes and not being burned, and walking upon hot coals and not being burned. The way I heard a man say it one time is that sex is like a fire. If you keep it in the fireplace where it's supposed to be, if you keep it within the bounds of a marriage, it's wonderful. But if you let that fire get into your house, if you take it outside of the boundary God has put on it, it will burn your house down. And that's exactly what he's saying. If sex is not evil, it's not wrong, God designed it, but he designed it in marriage. If you take it outside of marriage, it will burn your life to the ground. It's not something that should ever be trifled with. It's not something you should ever entertain in your imaginations or anywhere. It's too dangerous and too destructive to go anywhere near. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou gives many gifts. Saying, if you go on to someone else's wife, that man, her husband, is never going to forgive you. No matter what you try to do, no matter what you try to give him, no matter what way you try to recompense, there's no excuse for that. Because it's not something that it's not something anyone can justify you doing except from the lust out of your heart, the rage and the vengeance someone's going to have on you. And the way to look at this also is not just in the way of the woman's husband, but if you look at it as God as well, because we're all sons and daughters of God. So by having sex outside of marriage, you're doing this to God. Since a woman is a daughter of God, and the father is to protect their daughter until a husband comes along, God's wrath is going to be upon you when you do that to somebody. And I forget exactly where it says it, or like how it says it exactly, but it's something along the lines of, it is a very frightful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. You don't want to make God angry, because he will annihilate you. And this is just telling you again, be careful, because sex is one of those things that will destroy your life if used outside the bounds of marriage. And it's repeated many times throughout the Proverbs about that. It's repeated many times throughout the Proverbs because it's so important. And society nowadays doesn't regard it as that important, but it's not something to be played around with. And way too often people trivialize it. And it's something that as believers in Jesus Christ, you can't just say it's okay, or can't act like it's not going to make a difference in somebody's life, because it will. And it might be difficult, but it's not something we can back down on. It's not something that we can tell people, it's okay, or that, oh, I understand how, how tempting it is. It's like, no, God's clear in his word. It is wrong. And we can't be afraid to say that. And I think I'm done. So, thanks again. This one was a bit of a mess because I recorded the entire thing, and I had my microphone sitting on the table. Anyway, I've had a problem every single time I've done this, and it's, I don't know, we'll see where this goes, but I'm going to keep trugging along, and Lord willingly, I will see you all tomorrow.